Welcome, everybody, to I'll Hang Up and Listen. Of course, brought to you by Fatty Beer Company, Western New York's premier market and tap room with over 300 beers to choose from at 7 different Western New York locations. If you need a beer, make it a Fatty Beer. Let them know we over here at Two Goalies on Mike sent you. Make sure you try their F Yeah Mango Wheat, one of my favorites on tap. And again, let them know we sent you. And as always, Extreme Discount Mattress. Check out their new closeout center at 1625 Walden Avenue in Cheektowaga with up to 80% off their already low prices. Save a fortune on one-of-a-kind closeouts and floor samples. You can get a quality mattress for literally pennies on the dollar. Extreme Discount Mattress. We sell mattresses for less, a lot less. Well, we didn't get a ton of quality in the result of tonight's game against Columbus on Bills night. Got a point. You got to be happy about that, right? But that is a game, Hurls, I feel like it should have gotten in the garage.
Yeah, hard to get it in the garage when you can't get the car out of the driveway, though.
Yeah.
I came home from work, early start for me, so it was early start for everybody, but 3:45 for me. I got home at like 4:20. I was driving. I was talking to my parents. I wasn't following the game. Turn on the game, and the shots were 14-2 Columbus.
Yeah, not good.
So, yeah, like you can play as well as you want in the second and third period. You can scratch and claw your way back, just like metaphorically they have this entire season after the 0-3 start.
Mm-hmm.
But if you start a game like that at home on a theme night with Bills players in the building, coming off a pretty emotional weekend in Toronto, hard to blame completely the end of the game when you started the game from the get-go in a very bad position. I think we've talked a lot about starting the game, especially at home, with momentum, having a good first period, getting shots on net, controlling play as much as you can. And even if you don't control play, at least have it be even. There's no excuse for an away team to come in your building and completely dominate you through the first 15 to 20 minutes, which is what it seemed like. I didn't watch all of it, but if you just look at the numbers of the game, that's what it seemed like. So
they were all over us.
Yeah, I'll focus on at least that for now, just so people don't forget that, because obviously you can point to a few things at the end of the game, but there's no excuse whatsoever to come out the way that they did.
No, not at all. Michael Kesselring made his Sabres debut. I liked what I saw. They had him playing with Byram, I believe. Yeah, so they're trying to really add some, I guess, offense to all three lines. I don't know given how poorly Power and Timmins looked tonight, that was probably their worst. It was their worst performance of the season. Handover, no doubt. I wonder if Lindy will stick with that. I know the original plan was always to have Kesselring with Power. I wonder if they make the quick switch to that, because honestly, like Connor Timmins especially, we haven't had much to complain about, if anything at all, to complain about since game one. Power has shown flashes of the defenseman we've been aching for, even from a physical standpoint. But again, today we saw shades of the old Owen Power from, at least defensively, from the past couple seasons, kind of just drifting off to no man's land, leaving, not tying up his man in front, costly turnovers. Like no doubt about this was him specifically his worst game of the season.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot to be desired, and I think that coming into this year, you wanted to see more progress, which through at least a few of the games he's played this season, I have at least seen some progress defensively in front of his own net. A little bit more physicality, a little bit more spark. Obviously, I think the offense and the offensive creation is still there. But yeah, the first goal that he was largely responsible for, the puck that, it was a play with Timmins. They went D to D, came around the net, trying to get it up the wall. And yeah, you want it to get a little higher, a little bit harder, but that is a really, really bad bounce. It went off his shin pad, went directly.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Yeah. No, but yeah, it's like, I think, yeah, you want it to be higher, you want it to be harder, but it is also a very, very bad bounce. So while, yes, like there are traits and there are things that you can learn from him specifically, you also have to think about that hockey is technically a game of luck. And in that situation, I don't think he can be fully blamed for that. Like that, I think he had the intention of making the right play, and it went off his shin pad directly in front of the net. On the overtime goal, I hate 3-on-3 overtime. The game should have ended.
You hate it? I love it.
I mean, I like it from an entertainment
I'm a
perspective,
fan.
but it's really gimmicky, right? Like ideally, I think a 10-minute 5-on-5 overtime would be better, in my opinion. I think there would be less shootouts. I think it'd be closer to what the actual game is. Obviously, you don't want these guys getting hurt or worn out, but at the same time, it's so much different than the rest of the game and the rest of the season. And also, it doesn't exist in the playoffs. So it's always felt a little bit gimmicky to me. Either way, game should have ended on the Yuri Kulik breakaway. Obviously, a great save by Jack Reeves, but it should have been over. He makes a great save. They bring it back down. Another opportunity to end the game. Dahlin on the 2-on-1. His controller broke, and they bring it back the other way. Obviously, a lot of people are casting blame on Owen Power for his defensive coverage, as they should. He could have played the original entry a little bit better. He lost his guy when he was driving to the net. But what the hell was Alex Tuch doing? He was gliding.
That's the second overtime in a row in as many games where you're looking at the coverage defensively, specifically when Power's on the ice. I believe Tuch on the ice.
I know Tage was. I'd have to go back and watch.
I think it was Dahlin, Tage, and Power. It was two defensemen on the ice the last time. And it was like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And preceding that, in the offensive zone, you had Jack Quinn, who had all the time in the world to shoot the puck, and he just didn't. But neither here nor there. But yeah, second time in a row in overtime in as many games where it's just
and also giving up a lead late in the third, with a lead in the third period, which eventually sent it to overtime. That's 2 points instead of 4, which, as they've said many times, could be the difference in a wild card spot down the line. That's the glass half empty approach. The glass half full is that they started 0-3. They're 4-4-2 now. They're obviously playing much better. They're creating chances. They're playing with a lot of heart. They're standing up for each other. They're playing with a little bit more physicality. But at the end of the day, for them to put themselves in the best position possible in March and April, obviously got to get these games in the garage. And that is directly related to how they start the games as well. I don't think they started particularly well against the Leafs on Saturday. They obviously played a pretty good game on Friday night, but yeah, I mean, these are winnable games. These are 2-point winnable games. And yeah, the 3-on-3 overtime is gimmicky, but it is the rule at this point. So you can't blame that. You can't say that was the reason that your guys aren't prepared for that. They should be. They've been playing their entire life. A lot to look back on, but I will say, if we are taking the half class full approach, the October, obviously it'll end on Thursday in Boston, who I think won tonight against the Islanders. Still not a great start to the season for them. After starting the season well, they lost 6 straight, and they've come back a little bit here. If they get 2 points in Boston, or even get 1 point in Boston on Thursday night, after that 0-3 start, that's a pretty good October. It obviously could have been a little worse. And I think if you even before the season, if you said that the Sabres came out of October 4-4-3 or 5-4-2, I think we all would have been happy with that. So
I mean, I think you were the one that tweeted out earlier. I saw you brought up that specific thing. You know, I think we would have all signed up for the 4-4-2.
4-4-2 after the 0-3 start. Yes, you signed up for that.
Yeah, I think everybody would have signed up for that.
Even before the season, especially considering the injuries, I would absolutely sign up for 5-4-2.
No doubt about it.
So
not about it.
Big picture. Obviously, a lot to figure out.
Against October, we can put together, a better game. Alex Lyon, I thought, again, for 99% of that game was fantastic. You look at on the Alex Tuch phantom interference. Did you see that, by the way?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. That was really brutal. And it came after, I forget who it was. I'm going to look at the box score because it was just some goon that was going after Timmins in the other end. Oh, Olivier. Of course, Olivier. Rob Ray really, really went after the refs on the broadcast. I tweeted out a quote from him. He said, these guys go to bed with a ruler to see how long they sleep for. I thought that was a really good line.
Well, I thought I heard it was Ray that said that.
Yeah, Rob Ray. That's what I
Oh, was
meant.
it Ray? I thought you said Tuck. Okay.
So Rob Ray was giving it to the refs after the Olivier thing, which he knows as well as anybody, being an enforcer. And then 2 seconds after that, the phantom Tuck interference where he was just skating to the puck and the guy got in front of him. That was really, really brutal.
It was so bad. And like, I always complain when I watch games. I always say like interference is one of the least called penalty. Like it's the least called penalty in hockey that should get called more, because you see it all the time, blatant interference. But that an example where it's like, that's just a battle for the puck. Like they're just trying to battle each other for position on the puck. In no way, shape, or form was that interference. No way.
No, that was objectively really, really bad. Just a few other things that we always talk about that they're not necessarily improving at up until this point. Lost the faceoff battle again. It's a little bit closer than it has been, but 25 for the Sabres, 33 for the Blue Jackets, especially on the power play. I know they only had 2 tonight, but you got to win that first draw on the power play. They didn't have much possession on at least the one power play that I saw the entire thing. If you don't win that first draw, you put yourself in a bad position off the jump. So that's super, super important. And yeah, I think just generally, like, you got to drill it in these guys' heads. I don't know whether it's technique or a will to get low or timing, but something. They need to practice it way more than they currently are, because it's not good enough, and it's going to lead to tangible results in the score column and in the standings if they can't improve in the faceoff dot.
I couldn't agree with you more. I'm not sure how accurate this is from Mauricio in the chat. But he says, what happened to Tuck and Power in overtime? Poor defensive coverage. Duane, an important stat. Sabres defense allows the second most shots per game. Only San Jose is worse. I emphasize defense as a priority.
Yeah, in regards to the Tuck and Power thing, we kind of spoke about that. There's got to be continuity, especially in 3-on-3. And in that situation, it was a 2-on-2 situation, and they had no continuity between them. Tuck was gliding around the zone. He wasn't covering anybody. And then I think because of that, Power went to the other guy, and he lost his man driving to the net, which Werenski eventually got it over to him. So, yeah, they weren't communicating. And in 3-on-3, you absolutely have to. And they didn't. And then generally, yeah, I'll say that, like, yeah, the defense is a work in progress, but it's better than it was in the spring. And I think this was their first full game with those 3 pairs that they thought they were going to have going into the season, right? So I don't know exactly what they're going to be moving forward, but those 6 guys are the guys that they thought they would have. So technically the first time a lot of guys playing with each other. Communication is key, especially on defense. And I do think that hopefully they'll round into form a little bit. There's a lot of talent back there. And there's a lot of guys with some experience too. There are some young guys, but Timmons has played a lot of NHL games. Obviously, Dahlin has at this point. And that's something I also want to say, that I think we all know what level Rasmus Dahlin is eventually going to get to. Fairburn made a great point in his article earlier today, what he thinks about the Sabres, what he knows. He knows that we all know that he had a really tough summer. He went through something extremely traumatic in his personal life with his girlfriend and the heart transplant. And I don't think he came into the season, into training camp, probably not necessarily in the best physical shape, but also in the best mental and emotional shape. And I do think that's showing up early on, because he's not quite the dominant force that we're used to, or at least we have been the past 2 seasons. So it is 10 games, right? Like, give the guy some grace. And at least I am. And I think a lot of people aren't necessarily blaming him for a lot of these uncharacteristic mistakes that we're seeing. And I do think he's going to round into form a little bit more, but that goes for a lot of these guys too. And obviously people will jump on Power really quickly. Obviously UPL's got to perform to even be in consideration for this rotation at this point, but it is early, and this season is a new season. Of course, there's leftover feelings from past years and the drought and everything else, but judge these guys for what it is as it comes. If UPL continues to have games like he did on Saturday, he is not going to be in the rotation. If Power continues to make defensive mistakes like he did, then he's going to get demoted. But as it currently stands, I think this team is at least better constructed than we thought it would be. And I'm more optimistic about the future of it, at least in the short term, than I have been in a long time. So we'll see what happens in the next few games, but it's obviously much better than it started.
Yeah, like defensively, man, I'm just, I'm not as concerned as I guess as others because I think this team has shown not just from their blue line, but as a team defense standpoint that like they can hang, which is about any offense in this league. Going to the Colorado game. I mean, granted, Colorado probably not the start they wanted to. They're still that team is just so loaded, and we hung with them and we took it to them and we defended well. But I think they just need to find power a consistent partner. I think that's the key here. If it's not going to be, I mean, here's my question to you. I know we kind of touched on already, but if you were Lindy Ruff, are you going to give Power Timmons at least another game before you try to make that switch?
Yeah, I mean, potentially just from a comfortability standpoint, like I'm not sure how much time Powers had the chance to practice with Kesselring, given that they've both
Yeah.
been injured in the first month, right? Maybe give them a more time in practice to learn each other's tendencies, to see how they potentially could play with each other. And if Power and Timmons continue to have games like this, then they'll switch it up. Lindy always does that. He's, I think, pretty clear that he switches up lines when they aren't working, and that includes defensive pairs. So I think on Thursday night, especially against what is perceived at least as a weaker Boston team, obviously they have Pasternak. They have a lot of guys that can still put the puck in the net and create chances. But I think you go with what you've been doing at least recently, see how they perform. And if it's not working, then you switch it up. Then you go from there. And that includes Byram and Dahlin too. If Dahlin plays well with Samuelson, then put him with Samuelson. Like I think the benefit of having depth and having guys that have played games before is that they could theoretically be interchangeable. Obviously, we know the numbers with Byram away from Dahlin, but I think he's been at least a little bit better away from him this season. So, yeah, I would see how it goes Thursday, see how it goes the next few games, and then go from there. But I think we all envisioned Power with Kesselring to start the season.
Yeah, I again, that was like the biggest thing too. It was just like we finally found the guy, the stay-at-home
And
D-man who's
and
going to
just
help.
yeah, and just generally, he looked good tonight. I thought. I think you might have a better perspective on that from being in the
I
arena.
thought Kesselring he was aggressive. I mean, I wouldn't say he looks slow. It's going to take him a minute, obviously, to catch up to the speed.
Yeah,
Like
18 minutes in
he
his
hasn't,
first game back, I think is a pretty
yeah.
good benchmark.
And again, I'm not saying he was slow. You could just tell it he was behind on a couple plays, but it wasn't anything like outrageous, and it probably is expected, honestly. Like Michael Kesselring should be at 100%. His cardio up here is a 20-minute plus defenseman a night, right? Like you want, and if you want that pairing with him and Power to work, given Owen Powers clear as day, like offensive abilities, like you want them out there that long every single night.
For sure. And I do feel good about these six. I think these six are what is necessary to get this team to the defensive level that everybody wants. I think it is the best constructed group in terms of styles, play styles, everything related to playing defense. I think these six guys are the best that this team has had in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the first game they've played together 10 games in. So I think that's important to remember. And hopefully they develop some chemistry and learn each other's play styles and communication and everything that goes into being a solid defensive pair moving forward. And I feel good about it. I really do. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Then you could potentially try some other options. But given this is what, they were excited about and partially the reason they made that Peterka trade, I think we let it breathe for a little bit, see how it pans out, and then you go from there.
Yeah, no doubt. And like Josh Doan, man, again, just like you knew watching him play, you knew he was going to try and find a way to get one in the net tonight. And just, he is an absolute beast below the face-off dots, Hurls. Like you heard Shane Doan talk about, his son, the other night, and he mentioned like Josh, well, obviously wasn't always this big, and one of his most underrated and maybe best attributes are his hands, because he had to have like some skill growing up because he wasn't a big guy, and then obviously he grew quite a bit, and now he is the player he is. dude, he is such a fan favorite right now, and he goes out there and proves it every single game as to why Buffalo may have won this trade.
Weirdly, he had the third least or fourth least time on ice amongst Sabres forwards tonight, which I find that a little bit strange. He had 13 minutes and 50 seconds, 2.5 of which on the power play. But I'm wondering why that was the case. Only Dunn, Krebs, and Ostland had less than him. But maybe that was just a situational type thing. He still had 5 shots on net, 3 takeaways, obviously the goal, which is emblematic of his game. 2 or 3 attempts just whacking at it to get it in the net. It says everything about who he is as a player. He's obviously a really, really good forechecker. I think we knew that coming into the season, that was a staple of his game, but he's really proven that he's not only tenacious, but he's intelligent with the angles that he takes and the approach that he takes in the same way that Benson does, constantly going after the puck, being a pest. I can't imagine playing against guys like that. It must be so unbelievably frustrating, but it's the type of guys that you want on your team that you don't want to play against. And the same ilk is like Brad Marchand and Sam Bennett and those types of guys. So yeah, I'm thankful that we got him. Obviously, so far trade looks good. A lot to be determined for the rest of the season, but yeah, the return on that seems pretty nice at this current moment.
Yeah, and before we get to our post game quotes here, just like Josh Doon, couple clicks for him getting his first career NHL goal. Again, in very similar fashion, just that entire line, just being in front of the net, just banging away at a loose puck and finally, getting it across the line. Super pumped for that kid, especially with the style of hockey he plays. An easy guy. I think that if he does stick around in the long term, it seems Lindy likes him quite a bit. He's already played a couple games in Buffalo here in the regular season that could instantly, again, if he can find a way to be more productive on the score sheet, could also become maybe, some type of fan favorite. We'll see. But we're going to get to the post game quotes brought to you by Impulse Physical Therapy of Western New York. If you have any types of sport injury, you want to get your physical testing done as an athlete, make sure you get over to Impulse Physical Therapy. They are located at 5087 Broadway, Suite 100, right next to Catalyst Fitness in Depew, New York. I can't stress it enough. Their facilities there are 5 stars across the board. Incredible. Let me get this comment off the board here. But yeah, please check them out again on Broadway in Depew. Post-game comments quotes brought to you, obviously, through Brian Koziel. One of the things that stuck out to me too, I noticed as driving home, I heard Ruff say it. Ruff on getting points in 6 out of last 7 games, said maybe last season they might have let slip away and not get those points. So that's an improvement. Says they are getting better and trying to win without making the mistakes that cost you. Ruff says they think the team feeds off emotion overall this season. Dune tonight gave them energy. Says it really activates the bench, and the Krebs line did that tonight. Ruff says Kesselring looked good, skated well. Also from Ruff, says that they had the chance and Kulik had a breakaway, which means when you don't score on that chance, you likely give up one going the other way when it's 3-on-3. Also from Ruff, says the Krebs, Malenstein, Josh Dune line was excellent for them tonight. Says they are a little disappointed they only got a single point. Doan says they need to trust each other to keep playing the style of game that earned them the lead late in games. Josh Doan on Josh Dune. He's an exciting player to watch. We were all excited for him. Says when he's out there, you feel a little bit safer since he's so tough. Doan says they got to figure out a way to finish these games off tonight. And Toronto says they need to need to be determined to be in front of their goalie earlier in games. Dune says that all the guys have stepped up in terms of trying to be harder to play against. Says that guys are stepping in for each other. It's exciting to be part of it, knowing everyone has their backs. Dune on his first NHL goal. It was just great work from our line mates. They won their battles, got the puck to the net, and it was just lying there for me. And that was it. So, yeah, again, super excited for Josh Dune. to get on the score sheet for the first time in his career. Your thoughts on some of those post game quotes, especially the ones about getting games in the garage, which was obviously something that really nagged them last season, protecting these third period leads. You saw the goal that got by Alex Lyon from Werenski, the shot from the point. He was screened, but the puck was along the ice. You probably just need to have you just need to have your stick on the ice and you stop that. I think that was really the only criticism of Alex Lyon. But on the flip side of that, he made like 4 or 5 saves that he had no business making tonight. So you can't even try and have the UPL argument, because obviously you want to hold everybody to the same standard. But like the difference is Alex Lyon has a much longer leash.
Well, kept him in the game in the first period. And then made a ton of really good saves in the second and third. Prior to that, it's a power play goal. Guy in front who was alone with not much resistance. Yeah, you want your stick on the ice, and he would say that himself. I think almost every single goal I've led in my life, for the most part, maybe 95 to 97%, I always in the back of my mind, like, oh yeah, probably not my fault, but this is what I could have done better. I'm sure he's thinking that right now, and I think that's the standard that he sets for himself. So I'm not worried about him. But prior to this game, he had, out of 9 starts, he had 8 quality starts, which is basically relatively under a 2.5 goals against and over a 900 save percentage. And the only loss was in the 8-4 win against the Senators, which he also played pretty well in. So yeah, not too worried about him whatsoever. There will be a plateau of sorts. Obviously, he's playing some of the best hockey in his career at the moment, but as his confidence grows and his familiarity grows with his defense and the offensive support, I think he's going to be more than fine. And obviously, it's his net. So the fourth line, I think they've been looking for a consistent fourth line for a long time. They've been looking for guys that can affect the play, can be a tough matchup, can be responsible defensively, and also get some depth scoring. And if a guy like Josh Doon can get to the front of the net and bang in a puck in a situation where you wouldn't necessarily expect him to, that's a plus. You're not necessarily expecting a guy like that to score goals, or for Beck Mallinson or Peyton Krebs to contribute offensively as much as they are. I guess not too much at this point, but they're at least creating chances. So that's good. And I think all 3 goals tonight are a pretty good example of what we've been talking about all year, and what really didn't happen last year much was getting the puck to the net and scoring dirty goals. And while they did have a slow start, I think they tangibly changed their offensive line mindset. Rather than trying to be too pretty, trying to be cute, trying to skate through people, trying to pass through people, just throw the puck on net, bang it home as much as you possibly can. And that can be an eye test thing, but that's also an analytic thing, right? Like, the most goals are scored within the house, within that 5 to 10 foot radius right around the crease. You get your best chance to get the puck in the net when you're in closest proximity to the net. So the eye test and the analytic people will all agree that getting the puck to that area is your best chance to score goals. And I think they've been doing a pretty good job of that recently, obviously, since they didn't do that at all to begin the year in their first 3 games. So if a line like Josh Doon, Beck Mallinston, and Peyton Krebs can be the guys that consistently do that, or if that's how they're creating their chances, it's more than welcome, and it's going to help this team a lot.
Yeah, no doubt. There was a funny sign at the game, and I'm not sure if you saw any pictures of it on Twitter. I'm going to pop it up here real quick because I thought it was hilarious. Let me see if I could, I just got to get rid of our overlay here, but it was pretty funny. It was like one of those political type signs. Bring it up here. 1 second. Boom, boom, boom. Thought this was hilarious.
Lion Ellis.
Yeah, Lion Ellis 25.
I wonder how
professional. That guy went out and spent money.
I wonder how quickly he must work in the industry or something. How quickly he got that.
Yeah, like how quickly that was. Pretty funny.
Pretty impressive.
Thanks to Joe Marino, UPL. Who?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be interested to see who they start on Thursday. Obviously, I heard there was a report that he was sick on Saturday, but then I saw in Fairbairn's article today that he tweaked his back or something. So if it's injury related, I think that's obviously more concerning than a temporary illness. So yeah, I think Thursday potentially could be in doubt. They have Thursday at Boston, Saturday at home versus the Capitals, and then 3 straight at home. Tuesday versus Utah, and then Thursday versus St. Louis. So 4 games in the next 8 or so days, and no back-to-backs. So potentially, I would say probably go with Lyon on Thursday in Boston. See how he does. Obviously, as we said, not a bad game from him in any stretch of the imagination.
No,
And then
he kept them in this game, like you said in the first period.
tough matchup at home on Saturday versus the Capitals. So maybe they could. I don't know. Who's to say? And then Paterka's return, revenge game for Doan and Kesselring on Tuesday against Utah a week from tonight.
Yeah,
So they can play that basically however they want.
Do you think they give Lyon both games? Washington and Boston?
These next 2 in Boston and then home against the Capitals?
Yeah.
I think they give them Thursday, and then it depends on what type of game it is on Thursday.
Yeah, how he
mentioned,
feels.
if it's low event, if he's feeling good, obviously he's an older goalie, and I know how my hips feel after 2 games in 1 week. So if he's able to recover and feels good by Saturday, and he played well, then yeah, he's the starter. But yeah, I think it really depends on his performance as well. If he doesn't have his best game, then you potentially go to Ellis. If Ellis falters a little bit, he is a young goalie, then obviously UPL is still there too. And I think as upset as people are about Saturday, he is going to get another shot. Like until he's traded, I'm at least going to be hopeful for the traits that I've seen from him in the past and the stretches that we all saw a year and a half ago. And even last season, of course, as a whole, it wasn't great, but there were games, there were stretches, smaller stretches, albeit, that he can be a very good goalie in this league. He's just, as we've mentioned, he's got to put it all together. And in his first start, predictably, on the road against a really good Toronto team, that, as we read today, he wasn't even supposed to start. That was supposed to be Ellis's game. And because of Ellis's injury, they put UPL in there, and obviously it wasn't his best. And I think he said that himself after the game. So, we'll see what happens. But as it currently stands, they've got the 3 guys, and I think, goaltending is not the main issue on this team, and I think we can all be thankful for that.
Yeah. And in terms of depending on where Ovi is, because I know he's still chasing goal number 900, I believe. I don't know if I want a goalie trying to prove himself against the greatest goal scorer that ever lived. Ovi's been kind of sorts of a saber killer. That's why I kind of go back to I just don't want to be in that highlight. You know what I mean? Right. I want my best. I want my best goalie in that game because I don't want people looking back on that game at goal number 900 and seeing it being scored on a Sabres goaltender.
Yeah, for sure. But he's not breaking any more records anymore. It's obviously a milestone, but people will forget number 900, I think.
No player's ever done it.
It's true. Every single goal he scores, no player's ever done it at this point.
It's true. It is true. But like, I don't know. Do you think he sticks around to try and go for 1,000?
I don't think so. That would be.
I would.
Yeah, I mean maybe, but
I personally would. But
yeah, who knows? Hard to say. I personally don't think so.
I do want to give a quick shout out. We were showing some love at the Sabres game by both Mike Gordon and Ross Maurer. They stopped me to say hey, and they enjoyed the podcast. I told them I'd give them a shout out, and thanks for you guys for your support and everybody's support in the chat. Always, you're the reason we can still do this, game after game, win, loss, or whatever it might be. So
big win for the boys tonight.
Huh?
Big win for the boys tonight.
Yes, the Jays did win.
Don't feel bad for me. I only stayed up until midnight my time last night to see.
Yeah, man. Like how many? What inning that ended?
18th.
It's like the second longest game in MLB history. I believe.
My dad is playoff game, or World Series game. I think MLB history. I think there was like a 26 or something, and then pro baseball history there was a 35 in the minor leagues. I went down a rabbit hole today, but thankfully West Coast sports times are the best. I took a nap for the first 4 innings, and then I woke up and watched the rest of it. But that was tough. But tonight, against the best player in the world, who was on base 9 times last night, they were able to get some runs off him. Vladdy Jr., home run, series tied 2-2, and we're going back to Toronto no matter what, which pretty cool. Dodgers haven't won at
Mhm.
home since 1986, and that streak will continue. So suck it, LA.
Yeah.
And we move on, and a win tomorrow night would be massive to potentially
Yeah.
go home. Gosh, Friday night up 3-2. That home crowd in Toronto, probably your best starter on the mound.
Mhm.
That would be maybe Yesevich or Gausman. Either way, that would be an insane atmosphere. But yeah, pretty especially after last night, coming back tonight and dominating as they did was pretty amazing.
Yeah, no doubt. I do also want to point out real quick before we get out of here. We are running 2 separate year. Well, I guess if you want to say 3, if you count the jerseys, which we kind of promote every few days, but both extreme discount mattress and fatty beer will both be running um essentially year long uh giveaways. The one with extreme discount mattress, that one started tonight. I'm pulling it up right here so people who are watching can see. If you need a new mattress, make sure. Let me pull it up here. Probably should have been, Johnny in the spot more quicker with this. But love our sponsorship over there with the guys over Extreme Discount Mattress. They're offering all of our here we go. There we go. Pull this up. Just so everybody can see. No. No, that's not it. Let me pull it up. Sorry. Share screen. And then there we go. So everybody can see. Oh, always forget that. We are offering a $250 gift card to Extreme Discount Mattress for any time any Sabres player scores a hat trick this season. That means we could have multiple winners this year. So if a Sabres player scores a hat trick, and this is going for both Twitter or if X, and it's on Instagram as well, all you have to do is follow us at 2 Goalies 1 Mike, follow at extreme mattress or at extreme discount mattress on Instagram, retweet the post, and then again, like I said, make sure you're following. And you obviously you enter for a chance to win in a mattress on any game, depending on if the Sabres score a hat trick. And then the one we're going to be doing with Fatty Beer is a similar type of giveaway, but it will be right up our alley. Anytime a Sabres goalie records a shutout, you will win a gift card from Fatty Beer Company. But the trick with that one is it starts off at $5, and for every game that there is not a shutout, the gift card increases by $5. And it's the same rules apply. Follow us, follow at Fatty Beer. You retweet the tweet, you like it, you tag a friend on Instagram, you get bonus entries for just sharing it to your stories. So please make sure you're following along. We're running this all year long, so be sure to check it out. And do you have any final thoughts before we get out of here, Hulse?
Yeah, I think it's kind of what I said earlier. Like, you don't want to have a moral victory, but at the end of the day, the signs are there, the direction is there, and the production is at least coming. Obviously, the start of the year was nightmarish, but they're at least scoring goals. They're being at least, I wouldn't say somewhat defensively responsible with room for improvement all across the board from both the defensive and forward perspective. And the goaltending has largely been pretty good. So all 3 phases are at least showing signs of improvement, especially compared to last year and compared to the first 3 games of the season. And we will all take where the situation they currently are in. I think there's obviously a lot to learn from these first 10 games, but 4-4-2 after the way they started and all of the injuries and everything that factored into the beginning of the season, which led us all to believe we were unraveling for Gavin. I don't think that's the case anymore. They're a couple points out of a wild card spot. They're right in it. And I'm checking scores right now and the standings. They're right in it. And what looks like is going to be a pretty weak Eastern Conference. The Detroit Red Wings are
surprisingly.
leading. Yeah, the Detroit Red Wings are leading the Atlantic with 14 points in 10 games. Sabres obviously only 4 points back from that. The New Jersey Devils have the best record in the conference, 8-1.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess, I mean, in 9 games, obviously, they're off to a pretty good start. But there are 9 teams that either have 10 or 12 points, even more than that if you count the division. So everybody's bunched up. There's no one that's really truly out of it. Obviously, the Rangers and the Bruins and the Islanders aren't off to great starts. But I think it's nice to see that the way they started, they've done some self-correcting. They've gotten some guys back. We all know who the unsung heroes and the heroes are, and Zach Benson and Josh Doan, and I think Tage has come along recently, and a lot of guys are playing a lot better. So you go into Thursday against a team that you know you can beat based upon how they've started, and then you keep chipping
Very
away,
winnable game.
trying to win each game and trying to get at least a point as best as you possibly can, which I think they've done a good job of recently.
And one of my final thoughts too here, and I think it kind of piggybacks off what you just said. Boston, you always know you're gonna get a physical game, especially in Boston, right? Like they're always gonna, especially when you have guys like Zadorov out there. It's gonna be a tough physical battle, and I think this is the first time in a long time where I come into a matchup like this, and I'm like, we can hang with the physical side of this. We've shown it. Josh Doan, you have Josh Doan. I'm assuming Josh Doan will probably be in the lineup, right? Like he's probably going to be in the lineup.
Unless they get Greenway back,
possibly, yeah. But we haven't even been given a timetable on him yet, so I don't know.
I saw in Fairbairn's article today that they potentially were expecting him back this week. I thought, but
hopefully, I mean, like I said, but I just want I want a lineup. The lineup we've had and some of the things we have seen them be more physical. We've seen them stick up for each other a hell of a lot more. So I feel very comfortable with this matchup from a physical standpoint. I think we can go blow for blow for them, no doubt. So that is something to be very, very encouraged about. And obviously you can always be encouraged about the goaltending of Alex Lyon. Before we get out of here, I just want to kick it over to our sponsors one more time. Shout out again to Fatty Beer Company, Western New York's premier market and tap room, with over 300 beers to choose from at 7 different Western New York locations. If you need a beer, always make sure you make it a Fatty Beer. And of course, as always, Extreme Discount Mattress.
We know with Skechers, your day starts with the comfort and support you need for your feet. And now that same innovation has made its way to the bedroom. Introducing the Skechers Sleep System. With cooling SketchKnit fabric, pressure-relieving Skechers Max cushioning, and our Skechers Posture Fit support system. Your day ends just like it began, with Skechers comfort that never stops. Skechers mattresses, exclusively at Extreme Discount Mattress, the lowest prices in the nation.
And again, shout out to Fatty Beer and Extreme Discount Mattress, and of course, Impulse Physical Therapy out of Depew, New York. Make sure you go check them out on Broadway in the same plaza as Catalyst Fitness. 5-star facilities. Whether you have any type of sports related injury, any injury at all where you need physical therapy or you need your sports physical testing done, go check them out. Impulse Physical Therapy of Western New York. I am Duane for my co-host Connor Hurley. We will talk to you guys on Thursday, of course. And as always, go Sabres. Talk to you later.